Hello and welcome. This is chapter 4 of our video series on registering a company in China in 2024. In this chapter, as we promised before, we're going to talk about opening a corporate bank account for your WFOE. If you are new in this channel, once again, we are a corporate consultancy company with several locations across the globe. That includes Shanghai, China, and we have US office, and also we have an office in Uzbekistan, Central Asia. We help our global clients with company structuring for different purposes. Obviously, that includes tax purposes, lowering their taxes, and specifically, we focus mostly on China. So we assist companies entering the Chinese market most of the time, and also at the same time we assist Chinese companies which want to expand their businesses outside of China. If you would like to use our services, please send us an email. You can check our website as well. All the contact details are on the screen. So let's get back to chapter 4. In this chapter, let's discuss some of the very important points you need to pay attention to when you're opening a corporate bank account for your company in China. Now, before we go ahead, one last thing, please go ahead and watch our previous videos if you're new in this channel, because this chapter 4, it's the continuation of the video series. Okay, thank you. So, as we discussed before, when we are opening a corporate bank account for your WFOE, first and foremost, very important part is both company director, which is the legal representative of the company, aka, and company supervisor. They are two separate individuals. They must be physically present at the bank, at the same bank that we are opening a corporate bank account for this company. So, first point, let's tick this box. Company director, company supervisor must visit the bank. This is very important. Why? Because we get this question a lot. People compare China to many other jurisdictions where opening a bank account might be possible from distance, for example, United States and several European countries, or some of the Asian countries, where some banks let their clients to open company bank accounts from distance, remotely. In China, yes, it's happening. It's about to happen across China. There are some banks which are changing their policies towards this requirement, but there are only a very few, okay? Only a few. You can count them with your fingers, actually. So those banks usually, for now, they are half private, half government-owned banks. So we're not going to discuss these minorities, okay, these exceptional cases. We are still, assisting clients who absolutely cannot visit China for their corporate bank account. There are solutions, but bear in mind, like I said, these are exceptions, which means that you are not going to have a lot of options in terms of banking if you cannot visit China. That those banks which are accepting applications remotely are your only choice. I'm not going to mention them here again for legal purposes on this video, but you can contact us and we can discuss. All right. So, but regarding general banks, when we're talking about the biggest banks in China, they only accept applications in person. Once again, company director, company supervisor, two separate people, must be in China in person with the company documents, company seals, obviously, and their original identification documents, which is foreign passport, not ID, your current passport. Okay, if you have not obtained ID or passport, please go ahead and obtain them, because like I mentioned in the previous video, there were cases, banks, some of the biggest banks here, they requested the client to present their ID as well, additional to their nationality passport. So be prepared for that. You come to China with your passport and ID. Now, company director and supervisor also will have to provide a very important thing, a letter from a Chinese mobile number provider. that's kind of a link to due diligence system. Okay, this is how things work here. When you come to China as a company director and supervisor, 2 people, first thing you need to do is you need to get a number, Chinese number. Without the Chinese number, you cannot open a corporate bank account. So you go to one of the major mobile phone number providers, that is China Unicom or China Mobile. You can go there with your passport and obtain a number. Okay, when you're getting a number, after you actually got this number, please ask the mobile number provider, give you a letter of confirmation. They have to print it out, using a printer, and on that letter you can see your name, your number, okay, and the details of the basically agreement or the package you signed for. Why? Because again, bank is going to use this confirmation letter to access the due diligence system and verify your identity. All right, that is the purpose of it. So therefore, the first step before going to the bank is getting a number. Okay, so once you got that, you need to bring that letter to the bank when you visit. Of course, it's not going to happen, or it's not going to you go to the bank yourself, because we understand that there is a language barrier. And of course, when you're signing up for this package, company registration package, we provide everything. Like, we provide guidance and we provide our staff, okay, who will accompany you to the bank. So do not be afraid on that. If you don't speak Chinese, nothing to worry about. One of our staff is going to accompany you. If required, even to the mobile phone number provider company, we accompany you. We get the number, we get the letter, together we go to the bank. Now, also, let's go to the point 2. Company director, company supervisor must have opened a personal account first. This is also absolutely important. All of the banks here, even the ones who are, accepting applications remotely, they will open personal bank account for you first. So company director, company supervisor. So that's going to take approximately 1 hour, 1.5 hours for 2 people to get the personal bank account. And then after that, we proceed to the corporate bank account. So that's how it works. Well, a lot of people may be interested why I'm not going to use personal account. We just have to simply accept things how they are here. Okay, so I mentioned this previously many times. If you start questioning why things like that, why not like in my country, etc., well, you're not going to solve any issues here, and they're not going to change their policy just for one person. Next, director and supervisor should be from non-sanctioned countries. Well, this goes without saying, actually, because what's happening with the world right now, there are so many, conflicts, political issues, etc. So we always advise our clients when they're choosing their company director, actually before they, get to this bank opening point, make sure your company director and supervisor, and also obviously the shareholders, I need to include that here, none of them should be from sanctioned countries. Sanctioned means not necessarily from China, but I'm talking about in the financial systems. Okay, so specifically speaking, SWIFT system, SWIFT, or let's say different other systems, snaps, for example. There are different, transaction and monetary systems. So please make sure, okay, they are not from sanctioned countries. Otherwise, your company will not be able to open a bank account. We have come across with this situation before, so I know how it feels like. There was a client who even didn't know that his name was in this sanctioned list. Okay, so at the end, who could not open a bank account for his company, now changing the company director, which takes a long time and plus resources. So let's continue with the next point. Bring original passport and company documents. We have already mentioned this letter from mobile phone number provider in China. That's mentioned. Next point is should not have any negative history. Just like the previous point I mentioned, you can, ask this question to yourself before actually initiating this process. Do you have any financial problems or history? Maybe, loan issues. For example, you took a loan from a bank and then did not pay it on time, etc. So if you have such problems, we always ask our clients to be transparent and tell us in advance. Otherwise, because these banks as well, like I mentioned, they have access to some sort of databases for due diligence. So if your name is linked with financial crimes, financial issue, money laundering especially, then it will come out. All right, so you have to be extremely careful on that. If you have such issues, it's better to let someone else to be a director with clean history. Money laundering, bank application refusals. Bank application refusals are also extremely important. It's kind of a chain reaction, So if you got refused by one bank in China or internationally, that kind of data is sort of shared, okay, internationally as well, because China is a part of common reporting standard, okay. So I'm not saying that they will have access or they are getting all the information about all the individuals, but still, when it comes to financial problems, financial crimes, this kind of data is kind of shared between banks and financial institutions. So you need to be extremely careful on that. Now, regarding so let me tick all of that. Regarding the account currencies, Chinese bank accounts, unlike Hong Kong, for example, Singapore, or maybe Switzerland bank accounts, they're not automatically multi-currency, which means for every currency, you will have a separate account. So in most of these major banks, they offer different currency accounts, okay, for all the major currencies. Like it can be British pound sterling, it can be euro account, it can be USD obviously, and it can also be Hong Kong dollar account, so etc. We can add all of that under your company, which means, in other words, your company will have several accounts for different currencies. I know that for sure in many other countries, including Hong Kong and Switzerland, one account can be automatically multi-currency. You should not expect the same thing in Chinese banks, okay? So, and of course, we expect our clients to tell us exactly what kind of account, what kind of currencies they would like to have, so that we can apply for them separately. But of course, it goes without saying that USD and RMB accounts, they come by default because, if you're working internationally, you're doing import and export, you must have USD account because USD account alone is linked to your customs permits here in China. You cannot avoid USD accounts, all right? So RMB account, obviously, it's connected to your tax here in China, your company tax. Okay, so your company's taxes, this is a separate topic on its own. We're going to make a separate video for it. But briefly speaking, your company's taxes are automatically deducted every quarter for the corporate tax and every month for VAT from your RMB account. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to initiate paying etc. Of course, if you are delaying the taxes, you can initiate through your accountant, the same accountant that we provide, and they will help you initiate payments. But if you are on time, the tax office is going to deduct taxes from your RMB account, yuan account. So that is by default, you have to open it. Otherwise, the company cannot be active. And the USD account is linked to your customs, okay, import and export. So which means you cannot avoid USD account either. So these two accounts are automatic for internationally trading companies. The other currencies are additional and optional. Okay, you can tell us, we will apply for them. Also, we need to mention corporate accounts are not free. Okay, it means that the bank is going to charge you certain amount of money that is usually between 400 and 600 yuan, Chinese yuan every year. And that is also automatically deducted from your RMB account. Okay, so this is per account, not all of this bunch of account. This is per account between 400 and 600 RMB per 12 months. All right. So make sure you have enough balance at the end of each quarter, at the end of each, even months, for your taxes, for your corporate bank account fees, maintenance fees, etc. Now, for the bank account, generally speaking, that is all you have to pay attention to. And of course, as we mentioned previously, except for sanctioned countries, you need to be extremely careful when you're choosing your director, because banks here in China, they have, just like any other bank in other countries, banks usually have their preference in terms of the citizenship of their clients. So in this case, company director and company supervisor, if they are not, from the country that bank works usually, that can be also a challenge for you to open a corporate bank account. You might argue that, well, this is a corporate account, it's not an individual account, so why do the banks care about the citizenship of the director? Well, the director of the company and signatory, the supervisor of the company, they are the signatories for the bank account, which means that they have access to your corporate bank account. And that's why the bank cares about the citizenship of their clients. For example, just to illustrate, I'm sorry, this is nothing, to say negative about any other country. I respect all the countries and nationalities. But however, like we said, banks have their preferences. For example, Nigerian citizens, they are not sanctioned. They are not sanctioned at all. But when they approach different banks, it's kind of challenging for them to convince the bank to open a bank account for them, okay? Especially foreign currency bank accounts. Why? There are a bunch of, reasons the bank gives. But most important reason is they say that this country is high risk country. I'm sure you get the same response from different other banks. I personally went to Hong Kong with many clients, and when we asked the reason why, the bank manager said, well, these are the, this is the list of countries, unfortunately, and although they are not sanctioned, they are in the high risk list. So therefore, we cannot open a bank account for them. So that is the response typically you get. But of course, what we do when you work with us on this matter is, before we sign up an agreement with you for company formation, we're going to ask all the details, and then we communicate with the bank. Before we get to that point, we communicate to the bank and we make sure the bank accepts the client, okay, for company opening, and then only after that, do we take this, client, okay? We start the process. With that, I think this is everything. But this is general information, guys. Might not apply for a specific situation, so please feel free to contact us. You can send us an email. You can add us on WeChat, Telegram, and WhatsApp, and you can tell us about your specific situation, and we will be glad to respond to you in written form. But if you would like to call, if you would like to have a Zoom meeting, feel free to book a consultation. Okay, there is a link on the screen. You can go to this, our website, that specific section, which is called appointments, and you can book a call with me. So I'll be glad to go through your personal situation, specific situation of your business, and then give you a consultation based on that. With that, we're going to close this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Stay safe.